Hey everybody, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show where we give you all of the latest news from the world of movies, plus a little bit of insight into what it all means. Joining us as always is AMC Movie News Editor-in-Chief, John Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the internet, coming to you live from right here at the AMC studios here in Burbank, California. And I'm here to let you know, Ashley Mova did not choose the thug life. She created it.
Nah. Also here is AMC's Christian Harloff.
And I am addicted to Periscope. I can definitely say it. I've been on it for 2 days. I'm addicted. I made like 3 videos today already. I'm addicted.
Also here AMC's Alicia Malone.
And I did my first Periscope, but it was very PG. Don't worry, everyone.
He follows me into my office. Hey, John, we're going to do a Periscope. Then I go to the bathroom. He follows me in the bathroom. Hey, what are we talking about on the show today?
You asked for more footage.
Behind the scenes to a whole nother level. Sony Pictures has officially announced that an animated Spider-Man movie will be heading to the big screen. The creative team of Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, who have done films such as The Lego Movie, 21 Jump Street, and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, will produce and write the treatment for the film. Sony also pointed out that this new animated Spider-Man will be separate from the live-action Spider-Man movies that Sony will be producing. The new animated Spider-Man movie is currently set to hit AMC theaters on July 20th, 2018. Christian, what do you think about this announcement from Sony?
Well, you had me at Lord and Miller. But I also think it's pretty smart. I think it's smart in the new regime. I think that it's very similar to what Warner Brothers did with, they have so many different animation properties with Batman and what they've done over the years with those properties. And I don't think you always have to connect the universes to make it, everything that happens in this animation is going to affect the Sony movies. I think it's just to get excitement for the character, get a show with talent like this, with Lord and Miller, that you can make a fun animation film or a really good one, and to have those guys who clearly know what they're doing right now, they're on fire, put that team together, and I'm all for it.
I don't know how I feel about this. I some question marks. Number one, it seems questionable why, when you're running a live action Spider-Man franchise and you've got the live action Spider-Man also popping up in some Marvel films, why create a separate universe, separate thing, animated movie thing at the same time? However, that gets tempered by exactly what you said. Lord and Miller coming on. Right now, I will check out anything they want to do. I mean, if they signed up to do the new Smurfs movie, I'm suddenly excited about the new Smurfs movie, right? The other thing here, though, is I think you also nailed the whole thing about the corporate culture at Sony right now. They want to put, the new regime wants to put their stamp on things. This is something they never did before. Now, Spider-Man is Sony's historically, their most profitable franchise ever. That franchise has made over $4 billion for that company. For them to come in and do something as radically different as this could be them putting their identification stamp on this, which could be really interesting. So while I have some apprehensions about this, there's enough intriguing qualities about this to make me hang in there. So yeah. I'm going to kind of take a wait and see mentality for this. Alicia, what about you?
Yeah, me too. I remember with all those leaked emails from Sony that Sony were trying to get Lord and Miller on board to head up their animation department. And Lord and Miller weren't so sure about it. They weren't so sure about the culture, but it seems like they've got them on board now. And they just constantly surprise you with what they choose and then what they deliver. All their projects like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, Lego Movie, 21 Jump Street are all things that on the surface sound ridiculous and they make them work. So with them on board, I'm there and I'm looking forward to seeing Spider-Man with their brand of irreverent humor. I think that's going to be fun.
All right, what's next?
Disney Pictures has just bought the rights to a new take on the Jack and the Beanstalk fable called Beanstalk, written by Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul creator Vince Gilligan. Gilligan's story is being developed into a screenplay by one of his Breaking Bad writers, Thomas Schnoz, who previously won 2 Emmy Awards for his work on the series. Gilligan's role in the film is unknown at the moment, but it's widely assumed he will produce the feature. Alicia, does the idea of a Gilligan-created Beanstalk film at Disney sound appealing to you?
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's hard to imagine how this is going to be because, of course, like you hear Vince and you hear one of the writers from Breaking Bad and you think like Jack's going to be this drug dealer.
Jesse, get up the beanstalk.
Magic beans, kids.
He's cooking up. But, of course, Vince has been involved with films before like Home Fries and Hancock, very different movies. Disney have been doing this run of live-action films based on old fairy tales. So it's just, I don't know what to expect from it right now, but it definitely has good pedigree behind it.
Yeah, look, when the creator of Breaking Bad comes and knocks on your office door and says, hey, I've got a concept here of a new incarnation, a new take on the Jack and the Beanstalk legacy. You listen to the pitch and you buy the pitch and then you develop it. And if you're going to get, the guy who won 2 Emmys for writing Breaking Bad, he's going to write the script. Okay, I'm in. So look, after watching Jack the Giant Killer, not a career highlight for Bryan Singer, was that one. But after seeing that, you think, and I did not like the Jack and the Beanstalk stuff in
Into the Woods.
For the most part, I like that movie, but that was one of the things that was like, But then again, it's kind of like that Spider-Man animated thing.
Exactly
In
right.
principle, I'm not big on the Spider-Man animated movie concept in theaters, but add, Lord and Miller. This, another Jack and the Beanstalk movie? Wait a minute, created by Vince Gilligan? Okay, you got me interested.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth because that's exactly, I was going to say exactly what we were just talking about is you tell me that they're doing a Beanstalk movie and I go, they just did it and it wasn't really done great. And then you say, well, Disney's doing it and they've been okay so far. And okay, I'm interested. Then you tell me Vince Gilligan's doing it. I go, well, that sounds really interesting. Just because like what Alicia was like, I think so. Because your head goes, well, what's that going to look like? Yeah, what's that going to look like? And what's his take on it? Because obviously it's not going to have Walter White and Jesse running up the Beanstalk to go make some meth. But it's the fact that guy's imagination goes in places that we can't even imagine.
I tell you, if the subtitle on the poster is not "These ain't your mother's magic beans," then I'm going to be very disappointed.
But yeah, man, I think this is really cool.
All right, folks, we reached that part of the show for buy or sell. Here's how this works. In front of Ashley, she's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down, and those of us at the table are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Ashley, what do we got?
The cast for the upcoming Zoolander 2 continues to grow, as it was just announced that former Saturday Night Live cast member and Portlandia star Fred Armisen has joined the film. Armisen joins Ben Stiller, Owen Wilson, Penelope Cruz, and most likely Will Ferrell in the sequel to the 2001 comedy. Zoolander 2 is currently scheduled to hit AMC theaters on February 12, 2016. John Byer saw the addition of Fred Armisen to the cast of Zoolander 2.
I buy it with a big smile on my face. Now, aside from the fact that he did a terrible Barack Obama on Saturday Night Live for a couple of years, he was the wrong guy to do Obama. This guy is great. From little things that he pops up in, like remember his role in Anchorman as the restaurant owner?
Oh, yeah.
Like he was hilarious. You will eat the poop. He was hilarious in that. And then if you watch Portlandia, and I know a lot of you don't watch Portlandia, give it a shot. Some of the sketches are hit and miss, but some of them crush it so hard that you will just be back to watch that show again and again and again. This guy has got a lot of great comedic chops, and I wish he was a little bit more prominent in Hollywood than he is right now. But still, add him to a movie that I'm already excited about. For me, it's got to be a buy.
It's a buy for me as well, too. And there's a reason he was on Saturday Night Live for as long as he was.
Yes.
Because he added a lot, and you felt it when he left. Because he added so much, and regardless of Barack Obama, they needed somebody to do it, and he's like, I'll try. But the stuff that he used to do with Kristen Wiig, with the singers that were just improvising, all the stuff that he did was great in his show Portlandia. I want him to do more in this movie because the reason I buy it, I don't really care about Zoolander. I've made my opinions known on this, but with him there, I actually think out of those pictures, I think he's the funniest out of the three of them. I want to see him do more. I want to see him have a bigger presence in that film, not just in Hollywood. I want to see him as a character that they're going to make him, I don't know if he's the villain type or whatever he's going to be. Let Fred Armisen shine because when he is given the chance to, you will leave in stitches.
Alicia?
Yeah, it's a huge buy for me. And as you said, like he can play anything. He could play a villain. He could play a fashion designer. He could even play a male model, a rival male model. He is so good.
Yeah.
Portlandia is one of the few TV shows that I actually watch, and I love his humor. He's clever and he can pull off anything. And the way he announced it too with his Instagram where he was packing for Rome and then he tried to put a tray of coffees in there. He's like, and this is for Ben and the crew and off I go to Rome. And I just love him. Anything he does is a buy.
If you haven't seen it yet, try to hop on YouTube. I believe you can find it there and look up the Portlandia sketch about Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, yeah.
You remember
One
with
more.
Ronald
Yeah.
Just Moore in it?
Yeah.
Just one more. That is so good. Check it out. All right, what's next?
As many of you will remember, around the time of the release of 50 Shades of Grey in February, both the film's director, Sam Taylor Johnson, and the film's screenwriter, Kelly Marcel, who was nominated for a BAFTA award for her Saving Mr. Banks screenplay, left the franchise over reports of clashes with the book's author, E.L. James. Reports at the time claimed James wanted more control over the scripts and the film. Today comes word that a new screenwriter for 50 Shades sequels has been hired, none other than E.L. James's husband, Niall Leonard. Leonard has some credited writing work in a couple of British TV series, as well as uncredited rewrites on the 50 Shades script. Christian Barr saw the addition of Niall Leonard as the new screenwriter for the 50 Shades sequels.
This is such a huge buy.
What?
And I'm gonna
I gotta hear this. I gotta hear this.
This is like if Tom Hardy was cast in episode 8, I don't know if I'd buy this more. You know why? Because no one else can be blamed for their nonsense now. It's gonna be in the family. They should get their Uncle Joe to direct it. They should get their Aunt Francine to do the costuming. They should make this a family affair. So when a good writer comes in and goes, I have this idea, and they go, no, we gotta put a whip around her face and make her do a silly dance. That's only up to them. It's their fault.
Somebody make me an animated GIF of that. What just happened.
It's true, man, because she hires the husband now because the poor writer and director that had to get involved last time.
Yeah.
And it's like, and now they have to go in and they go, what did you work on last? Nothing. You know, the last writer, because they have this stink now on there because it's a job. They take the job and they write as well as they can, but then they're told by this maniac who says, no, you have to do this. But the husband, good, let it be a stink bomb, and then it's their fault. It's a family affair. So I buy the fact that they're taking responsibility for the stink.
You know, here's the funny thing about this is that when they announced the 50 Shades movie and their movie, because the books were such like cultural, like phenomenon.
Huge, yeah.
There were big name directors and big name writers who were actually lining up because the concept of the book, you put the concept of what that book is into the hands of the right writer and the right director, you could make something, you know, encompassing and haunting and just enticing. You could do all of that and erotic and whatever. So what they did was they turned down the bigger name directors who could have, you know, exercised some influence over things. And they went with a very good director, with Sam Taylor Johnson. And then they brought on a very good screenwriter. Like, I love the screenplay for Saving Mr. Banks. I thought it was great. But right away, the reports of the clashes, E.L. James wanted control over that movie. And now when you even hear that her husband did an uncredited rewrite, you're sitting there going, that explains a lot.
Yeah.
And look, I don't like to do rumor mongering. So all these, we never talked before about rumors about clashes between the director and the writer. I'm sorry. When she puts the studio against the wall and makes them hire her husband, who will do whatever she says to write script, that just verified every rumor we ever heard about this whole thing. This thing is a ball of flame crashing to earth, and I don't even know if it's going to hit the ocean. This is, I've never heard a story like this in Hollywood with a major picture. Anyway, your take on this?
Yeah, it's a huge sell because I agree with you that the concept is great. I mean, the fact that the first movie made over $500 million worldwide speaks to the fact, and it was terrible, speaks to the fact that there is a huge section of an audience who wants this kind of material, who wants something good, but they will settle for whatever. And the best screenwriters and the best directors could not make that movie any good because of her involvement, because she wouldn't let go. She had to have her dialogue in it, and her parts that were her dialogue from her book were the most laughable. They were the most ridiculous.
But that's my point, though. Aren't you happy though to see a good writer?
No,
because they're going to walk because a good
people will
writer
still see it.
Well, of course,
and they deserve better.
But I just want to protect the good writers, because you can put the best writer in there now. He walks in there, he or she walks in there and says, "I have this," and they're going up against this wave of, "Nope, we're going to put in whatever we want to say."
I just wish they could exercise control over her and say,
they can't though.
Done. I know they
That's why I
can't,
wanna
but
buy
that's
the
what I
husband.
want. They just get rid of her and get good directors and good writers and good actors involved, and it could be a good movie. I mean, people want erotic thrillers out there. Watch Secretary instead of
And you know,
50
it's
Shades.
a funny thing. And look, I'm going to need everybody to put on their adult hats for a second, okay? So here's the thing. Not everybody murders, but we do lots of movies about murder. We explore the nature of murder, what compels somebody. Not everybody runs for president, but we make movies about what drives somebody to run for president, all kind of stuff. All of us have sex, you know. Well, I mean, some of us at this table probably have more than others, but all of us at this table, I mean, we all do. I mean, and that is part of all of our human nature and existence. And to have a movie coming out that gives us the possibility to explore some of the darker corners of that. Yes.
a chance to explore their sexuality in a way and fantasies that aren't usually shown on screen, fantasies that we might want to explore, we might want to see represented on screen. I think that's why the books were such a hit. 'Cause
Absolutely.
It spoke to something, even though they were terrible.
And you could do something. I think that's why a lot of these big directors lined up. They wanted a crack at this because I think there was potential there. And having that book be such a cultural icon and hit, it gave the studio permission
Yeah.
to make a movie about it, whereas most studios, understandably so, will shy away from material like that. Big cultural icon, now we can do it. And they drop the ball.
Yes.
But that's just my opinion. Maybe you
shame.
loved the movie. And if you did, great. All movies subjective. That's wonderful if you did. But I don't think those of us at the table did.
More sex, please.
More sex, please. All right. What's next?
The first picture of Johnny Depp as Whitey Bulger in the upcoming film Black Mass has hit the web. The film's director, Scott Cooper, recently made the following comments. A lot of people on set knew Whitey intimately. They got chills at Depp's resemblance. Some of them couldn't even look at him. It's easy to be the mustache-twirling villain, but this performance couldn't be further from that. He is truly gifted. Black Mass is scheduled to hit AMC theaters on September 18th. Alicia Barisel, the first image from Black Mass.
I buy. I didn't think that I would. I mean, I thought him in this movie could be good, but usually you hear Johnny Depp in makeup, heavily disguised, and you're like, I'm done with that. But this is one of the first times where I think his transformation could be used in the right way. He loves to physically transform. This time he's playing a real life character, so he'll be more subtle, hopefully, than the overacting we've seen him do with characters like Into the Woods and
Willy Wonka.
yeah, Willy Wonka, even Tusk, you know, all these characters he pops up and is so over the top. But he looks creepy in this movie. I like Scott Cooper as a director, so I'm buying it.
All right. I'm going to buy it because I am still drinking the Kool-Aid on Johnny Depp. I totally am. Like, I'm hoping this is going to be the movie that what was Wally's movie?
Transcendence.
Transcendence, thank you.
yeah.
I'm hoping this is going to be the movie that I wanted that one to be, where Johnny Depp steps out of the wild makeup, whichever wild makeup it is, and just gets on screen and reminds everybody why he's Johnny Depp.
Yes.
Because he's not a flash in the pan. He's shown us enough times that this guy can be brilliant. I look at this picture and I didn't have to know anything about this movie. Just see that picture. I'm like, I'm in. I want to see this. Whatever Johnny Depp's doing right there on screen, I want to see that movie. You don't have to tell me anything else about it. So for me, it's a buy.
It's a huge buy for me, and I don't think you're really drinking the Kool-Aid, John, as much as it's like this is what we want to see this dude do.
Yeah.
We want to see him acting again, like Donnie Brasco and like Blow. We want him back doing roles like this because, like you said, Alicia, Whitey Bulger's a real character, terrifying character. And the rest of that quote was what Whitey Bulger did was he could be super charming in one point and then just flip it on you and be menacing. That picture, look at the guy, his feet hanging in the background. He just shot him and there's no emotion. There's
What
no
a
emotion
beautifully
to see.
composed shot.
Yeah, there's no
Great.
emotion. He's just he looks like a real character. Yes, he's in makeup, but he looks real.
Yes.
And because he's also done a lot of research, he's watched the FBI tapes, he's watched all these things now that he's not coming up with some vision of what like this kooky character should be or his vision of Tonto should be. It's Whitey Bulger. He's got to be true to the character and he's got to act and be that acting monster that he is, Johnny Depp is. So this is where he should be. Big buy for me.
All right, what's next?
A new story from The Hollywood Reporter claims that actor/musician Common has just joined the cast of the upcoming Suicide Squad film in an undisclosed role. DC fans will remember that Common was cast in the defunct Justice League film that was being directed by Mad Max's George Miller as Jon Stewart, aka Green Lantern, which has some fans online speculating that Common may be playing him in the new film. John Barisel, the notion that Common will be playing Green Lantern in the upcoming Suicide Squad.
I sell. I sell that hard. Now, look, just because I'm selling it, that doesn't preclude it's a possibility. Anything's possible. But on a couple levels, look, I don't think a Green Lantern fits into a Suicide Squad movie. That just doesn't seem to be the right big name hero to put into a Suicide Squad movie. It doesn't fit. Also, I'm a big fan of Common when he does his support. I loved him in Wanted, actually. When he's in these smaller supporting roles, I think he shines. Can he carry, because if you put him in here as Green Lantern, that means he's your Green Lantern moving forward. Can he carry a franchise? I don't think he can. I love him in the roles that he takes. I don't think he can carry a franchise. Plus, at 46 years of age, I think he is. This isn't like Batman where they wanted a middle-aged Batman to start with the Dark Knight kind of idea. I don't think you start a new franchise with a 46-year-old actor as Green Lantern. You can't ride that for 10 years in that case. So Look, yeah, he was cast as that. Anybody remember who was cast as Batman in that George Miller?
Armie Hammer.
Armie Hammer.
Oh, was it?
When no one had heard of Armie Hammer.
Yeah,
And they said, some
wow.
guy named Armie Hammer is going to be Batman? Now that you think about it, okay, he was a pretty good choice. Anyway, so no, while it's absolutely possible, don't throw this out the window as if it's an impossibility. It's not, but I would be shocked. So for me, it's going to be a sell.
Yeah, it's a sell for me that he's going to be playing Green Lantern and that he could do a good job at Green Lantern. I can't imagine it, but it's a buy for him being in Suicide Squad. And this movie, the cast just gets better and better. I loved Common in Selma, and even when he played a villain in Run All Night recently, the Liam Neeson film, he's great. I want to see him do more. I just can't picture him as Green Lantern.
I sell it. Same thing. I sell him being Green Lantern, buy that he's in the movie.
Yeah.
Because I think that for the roles that he's played in the past, that his tone of characters that he's played, he might play someone completely different, but the tone of the characters he's played in the past seemed to fit into a Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
But as far as Jon Stewart goes, I want Nate Parker, man. That's the dude I want to see play. Nate Parker is the age to play it, could carry for a while, has got the acting chops. Not that Common doesn't, but like you said, his age doesn't really work. And I agree with you, John. I don't think Green Lantern fits into this movie. That's not to say you can't pop someone in there for a quick scene. But I don't know if you just bring in Common for a quick scene. He probably has a little juicier of a role.
Yeah, it's thinking of all the roles we're used to seeing Common playing. There's that little Jennifer Garner film that was out like 2 years ago that I actually really enjoyed called The Odd Life of Timothy Green.
Yeah.
And Common played like a soccer coach.
Yeah.
And it was like totally a paradox from what we're used to seeing him in. All right, what's next?
He's a nice guy.
A report from The Wrap claims to identify the 5 actors who are on Sony's shortlist to be the new Spider-Man in the live-action films. Their list include Asa Butterfield, Hugo, Ender's Game, Timothy Chalamet, 1 and 2, Interstellar, Tom Holland, Locke, The Impossible, Liam James, Psych, The Way, Way Back, and Nat Wolff, The Fault in Our Stars, Paper Towns. Christian, do you buy or sell this list of names for a potential new Spider-Man?
Yeah, I buy it. It makes sense from with the rumors that were coming out with. I think even Kevin Feige said that they're gonna explore him in high school, and I think you'd probably go after the youngest looking kids so you can keep him going in the universe for sure too, because even when Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were cast, they played high school for a little bit. You could take one of these kids and keep them in high school for a good while. I mean, even into their 20s, you still pretend they're in high school. So do I buy that this list of these names have popped up on a desk somewhere to say, hey, these are the guys that we're thinking of? There's a list of actors, and did these guys pop up on that list? Yeah, I buy that.
I sell it.
You don't think that any of them were mentioned?
Well, no, I think here's the reason why. It seems like in the last couple of years, whenever there's a new movie coming out and there's a character, we're all wondering who's going to play that character. Inevitably, some site comes out with a list. Here's your short list for who's playing this. And it's never one of those guys. And not never. Some very, but
never
very rarely it
cast,
is.
but this is
Never, but it never ends up being one of those guys. So usually when lists like these come up, I don't pay very much attention to it because it generally never ends up being one of those guys anyway. Now, let's talk theoretically. If it does end up being one of these guys, am I okay with this list? I'll be honest, I don't like how young they are. To me, it's Peter Parker's a youth. These guys look like children to me, and I mean that literally. These guys literally look like children to me, as opposed to an angst youth, an out of place youth, a nerdy youth, that kind of stuff. So none of them necessarily do it to me. That doesn't mean though that one of them couldn't be cast. Like Asa Butterfield steps in and crushes it as Spider-Man, maybe. Absolutely, but my first reaction is that. Anyway, your thoughts about this group of potential Spider-Men?
Yeah, if this is the group, and I have no idea how true this is or not, but if it is, then I buy, because there's some great young actors in there, particularly the last 3. Tom Holland was fantastic in The Impossible, Liam Payne in The Way, Way Back, and Nat Wolff is about to become a big star. He's in Paper Towns coming out soon, and he is a great underrated actor. So I buy, if this is a list, I buy these actors. There's also another actor, I've forgotten his name, so this is kind of a pointless story, but
Johnny Depp
on Instagram, who's been posting pictures of himself
Mark Ellis.
with the tag Mark Ellis.
I hear he's looking for a job.
With the tag of Spider-Man. So he was on the red carpet at the Avengers, and then his mum made him a Spider-Man cake, and then he had a picture of himself scaling a building and hashtag Spider-Man. I can't remember his name, but he's a young actor. He looks exactly like these kids. So who knows?
Yeah, but I think you're right too. It does go to the point that what Kevin Feige was saying was that we're going to look for a guy who's in high school. I still think that means you can get an 18, 19, 20-year-old actor to do it. It would be interesting if they decided, no, we want a lead actor in this that we can literally like ride that horse for 15 years if we wanted to. That would be an interesting thing.
It's the longevity of it, and that because not only that, the other thing that Kevin Feige said was because imagine all these kids. Imagine Ace, right? You put him next to Robert Downey Jr. That is a dynamic we have not seen to see how they're going to deal with this kid.
Ty Simpkins a little bit, but that was a little bit too young.
Yeah, that was. But I mean, in Iron Man 3, right? Yeah, but that's not a kid that has superpowers and can jump on the wall and have Spider-Man's personality.
Great point.
So to see those type of that age, we haven't seen that. And I would love to see that kid standing next to the Hulk. That's interesting. That's a new dynamic, and it changes it up a bit. And what Marvel does well is change it up a bit.
These kids all have a huge teen fan base too, so they'll carry that with them.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, we've reached that part of the show for mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on the air, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. So, Ashley, what's in the mailbag today?
Ryan McKenna writes, first, I just want to say I love your show, and you should definitely keep it going with Phase 3. Heroes and Jedi Council have been so addictive.
And rewind.
I wanted to ask a question about what the expectations are for press junkets. I watched the video of Robert Downey Jr. walking out of an interview with Channel 4 in the UK yesterday, which I felt he was right to do. But I also recognize the reporter's goal in creating a newsworthy interview. I've also seen many press junkets with a very serious tone, and others like John Campia's hilarious one with Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth that are funny and otherwise entertaining. Any comments you have on what your role is as an interviewer versus what is appropriate in such situations would be very interesting and helpful. Thanks, and keep up the great work.
I think Robert Downey Jr. was a coward for leaving that thing. No, I'm totally lying. I do not. And here's the thing. There are different people in our business, guys who are friends of mine, who are way better at this job than me and who are way smarter than me, will have different philosophies than I do, and that's cool. But I'll just tell you what my philosophy is. I have a rule for myself and for anybody representing AMC that goes and does press junkets. We only ask questions about the movie we are there to cover. You know, if you want to be a journalist and you want to do an expose, then work the phones, get the PR people on the line, and get an interview with the actor you want to do an expose on, and then you sit down talking with them. If the studio is going to give you and grant you a little bit of time to sit down with their actor to talk about and promote their new movie, then don't disrespect that by going in there and try to plow them about a million or 50 different other things. It doesn't make sense. Robert Downey Jr., Marvel, and the Avengers Age of Ultron were kind enough to let this one UK outlet come in and be a part of that thing, to have some time. And it ain't easy to get time with Robert Downey Jr. It is not easy to get that time. And they were given that time to sit down and talk about Avengers Age of Ultron. And what did this dick do? He decided, let's talk about your drug use. Let's talk about your time in prison. Let's talk about your dad. You're an idiot. If Robert Downey Jr. had dove over that couch and punched you square in your stupid looking mouth, I would have been totally fine with it. It was one of the most unprofessional, disrespectful things I have ever seen in this line of business that we do. I was embarrassed for my profession when I saw what that guy was doing. Look, different story. You want to run an expose on Robert Downey Jr. and his past in history? Work the phones, make the contacts, get an exclusive interview, get some time with him where he knows you're going to talk to him about that stuff, and do your piece. Not when you don't ambush them when you get invited in to talk about a movie and promote and then catch them totally off guard and throw garbage like that at them. I was embarrassed by it. I felt bad for Robert Downey Jr. I have a lot of respect for how RDJ handled that, man. He just smiled and said, okay, and that was it. I would have done worse, man. Yeah. I would have done a lot worse. Big props to Robert Downey Jr. how he handled that. Anyway, Christian, tell me why I'm wrong.
You're not. Now, let me tell you what. I want you to forward this video over to that guy. Hey, buddy, you're a creep. You are the biggest creep that is working today for what you did. Even Robert Downey Jr. looked at your face and said, what are we doing here, man? We're supposed to be advertising the movie. He did the same thing to Quentin Tarantino a little while ago, too, for Django Unchained. And Tarantino was just like, I'm shutting your butt down. I'm not letting you direct me in this direction you want to go. And the fact that this guy went after him, like John said, what you do is you go and you first of all, shame on his outlet because he's done it before.
Yep.
And now he's doing it again. And you know that you're just, because people are talking about it. We're talking about this idiot because he was able to, go, I'm going to ask Robert Downey Jr. about his drug use and get some stuff. And then people are going to be sending it around the internet. Yeah. And I hope you get fired, dummy, because from everything that you've done, you're an embarrassment. You are a complete embarrassment. Your face is an embarrassment. When I see memes of you, I just want to see continuous memes. The fact like putz. That's all I should say is putz, because Robert Downey Jr., for the way he looked at his publicist going, okay, I'm out, I'm good. And he handled it with class. And bravo to Robert Downey Jr. for not going down the path to letting this idiot take him down. So putz.
Alicia?
Well, here's the tricky thing. So I don't disagree that Robert Downey Jr. was right to walk out of the interview. I don't disagree that the reporter asked the questions in the wrong way. It sounded really offensive. He had no particular point in what he was saying with his questions and was all muddled. And Robert Downey Jr. just didn't understand what he was getting at. He was like, what are we doing here? What are you doing? But he says on his Twitter, this reporter, that he cleared everything with the PR. Like, we're going to be talking about the film plus his life as well, because we're a news outlet, so we're not going to just talk about Avengers, because that's not what we do. Now, I've been really lucky that I've only worked for film outlets, so I only care about the film, but it is really tricky to be an entertainment journalist, because I think it's the only form of journalism where people tell you what you can't ask. Politicians, if they have a scandal, they might say, don't ask about that. But news journalists will say, you know what? It's news. I'm going to ask it. Sports journalists, the same thing. Us, the publicists and the stars control the room. If they don't like what you're asking, they can take the tapes, they can walk out, and it's your fault. I never ask personal questions. I never want to know that stuff. People always, the publicists say, don't ask this, don't ask that. I'm like, I didn't even know she had a baby. I'm not up with that stuff, and I'm so glad I don't. But I think there's a way that you can do it in the right way, and I think that stars should be able to handle it better. Recently, an unnamed star got really angry at me, pulled me aside. I only asked film questions just because he didn't like the way I phrased the question. He felt like he had to think about his answer. Sometimes I feel like you can't win. You can't win. You get 2 minutes with Robert Downey Jr. You try your best, but it's hard sometimes. Sometimes you're at the end of the day. It's 100 journalists before you. They don't want to try anything interesting. They don't want to try anything fun. You try to ask a different question, they give you the same soundbite. So it can be really difficult for us as well. But that guy, I agree, is an idiot. The way he phrased it was completely wrong.
I think that's the point. It's the fact that this guy was doing it to poke the bear. And when he says he cleared it, which he probably, I'm going to ask him about his life. Like, they're probably thinking about his wife and this, not going back into stuff that's been opened up and closed a long time ago. And
I think you could ask about it, but just not like that.
Yeah, but not now. I mean, it's just like, it's one of the, it's not 60 Minutes.
When he got into his family. Starts bringing his dad into it. It went from just him, okay, this guy's an idiot, to this guy's a creep. Use the right word, creep. And I agree with you. Our form of journalism is a little bit different in that a lot of the context is controlled by the public, stuff like that. But not when we're in here. When we're in here, we do and say whatever we want. But like Christian knows this. Like, you don't have to act nice towards me. You know, you don't have, nothing says there's no law that says you have to act nice towards me or be civil towards me or whatever. Yeah, thank goodness. But if I invite you to my birthday party and I say, hey, come, and you decide to accept that invitation, come to my birthday, I think there's a reasonable expectation that here at my birthday party, you're going to treat me nice, you know. And I think
happy birthday, dummy.
And I think in a press conference when it's set at a junket, it's like, hey, we're inviting you to come to talk about Avengers: Age of Ultron. Don't talk about prison terms and what his dad did to push him there.
I think they had their own room, which is slightly different.
Yes,
we've people
been
feel
there.
like
You've
they
been
can
there too.
Get away with more if they have their own room, their own crew, whereas we're walking into their room with their crew and it's controlled by them. But yeah, he got his 8-minute slot with Robert Downey Jr. He obviously wanted to make something newsworthy. He has, but he just didn't do it in the right way.
And you know, we've all done this enough to where when you're talking to a celebrity and you ask a question, maybe you ask a question they're not comfortable with. We're good. We can read faces. He's been doing this long enough. Robert Downey Jr. clearly did not want to talk about that stuff. So if he was going to ask him about his personal life and he asked a question, and Downey's just kind of, in my head, I'm going, oh, so tell me more about Tony Stark. You know, I'm switching it because I don't want to. He's never going to interview Robert Downey Jr. ever again. And I hope he's never allowed to interview anyone ever again.
And the one thing that would make me feel sorry for this guy, and this is honest, the one thing that might make me feel sorry for this reporter is if he's got an editor who is pushing him to do it.
Right.
Like
that happens a lot.
And that does happen a lot.
I've got a lot of friends who work for big entertainment outlets, and they will show me the list of questions that a producer who never actually sits in front of a star and never actually has to ask this says, you have to ask this or else, like, you're done. Right. And so they're like, how am I going to ask this? This is so offensive. I wouldn't ask a friend.
Get a new job. Don't work for those people.
So I'm like, that's why I don't work for those people.
All right, what's next?
Ryan Ferguson writes, AMC Movie News behind the scenes. Love the show and the new shows you've put into production. Recently, you answered a viewer mail asking if you ever need a break from movies. In it, you gave a small glimpse into all the supporting responsibilities that you have and the effort it takes to put out all of the content you provide. Have you ever considered releasing a one-off or a short series of episodes of behind-the-scenes / day in the lifestyle shows that highlights what it takes to make the donuts there at AMC Movie News? As consumers, I think we can sometimes take for granted the amount of effort and dedication it takes to create a quality product that we want to return to day after day. And it would be cool to see just how that is done. Thanks and keep up the great work.
I'll start the answer to this one with the way I answer a lot of questions about, hey guys, why don't you do this? Or why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? I simply don't think we're big enough that people will be interested in a behind the scenes documentary of what happens and how does AMC Movie Talk get put together. But aside from that, it's an interesting concept. But then how do we do that? We don't have the money to hire some documentary crew to follow us around. Dennis is quite busy doing what he's doing. Thank you very much. His production guys, Ray and Jonathan, they're quite busy. So no one has time to kind of
Periscope.
Here we go. Christian Harloff has just answered the question.
Follow me on Periscope, and I'm gonna do every time I'm on. I'll do behind the scenes. How about that?
You think I was joking earlier? Said he followed me into my office this morning. Hey, John.
Yeah, I did.
I was like, what are we doing? I felt like Robert Downey Jr. What are we doing?
Yeah, what's going on?
So it's an interesting concept. I just don't know that it would be that interesting. Okay, let me take that back. I would hire a documentary film crew just to follow Ashley Mover around, just to catch the things that she says.
Oh, that is
before the
true.
camera
Well, if you
starts
listen
to roll.
if you listen to Ellis, follow her around 4 or 5 years ago.
Because I'm telling you, Ashley says the best stuff off camera, always right before
No,
we
I
start
don't.
shooting.
No, I don't.
I don't know. I don't know, Christian. Like, you're a content creator. Do you think there's something here?
Yeah, I do. I think that, but like you said, right now we just can't do it because poor Dennis and Jonathan and Ray back there, they just can't do it right now. But it would be awesome to some of the stuff, the conversations we have beforehand. Even the fans sometimes will be like, "What's the inside joke?" Sometimes you catch some of the inside jokes. Some inside jokes probably could never be on. But there's a lot of stuff. Like even some of the conversations are really cool when we're just hanging out back there. We can break into Marvel talk or DC talk or Star Wars talk or classic film
Follow
talk.
us to lunch at Barney's across the street.
Yeah,
watching
seriously. I mean, I think
chili.
that what we do differently, and I really got this, and I don't think I had a chance to say this on air yet. Star Wars Celebration, the fans were really one of the coolest things that made that experience.
Is this somehow going to become a point about Darth Plagueis?
No, it's not. It is not. It's going to be about a point about the AMC Movie Talk fans because they were awesome. They were so great, and what it has done, what we've done here is, we're just people who share our opinions on film, but we are on camera. We do show our personalities here, and people either respond to that or they don't respond to that. And I think we have a responsibility sometimes we always, anytime, to greet a fan, let them know how I always thank you for watching, because that to me means the world, that someone cares that much about what we do. So if they really do care about what we're doing to make all of this, as well as being on camera, I think that's something when we're able to, that we should do.
Yeah, I don't think we have the manpower to put up more videos on YouTube than we currently do because these guys are working at full capacity to get all the shows up and running. But I think Periscope could be a good solution that each of us have our own little thing and we can show what we're doing. I mean, it'll be fascinating to watch me watch 16 movies for Rewind.
Dennis told me he actually almost deleted this email, so we didn't even think about it.
To drive the point home, like, talking about how busy our production team is. Like yesterday, this is absolutely true story. I've got a documentary. I've got a editorial that's going to come out in the next couple of days called the 5 Reasons Batman vs. Superman is Going to Work. And I came into the studio side here and I went up to Ray. I went up to Ray's desk. I'm like, hey, Ray, okay, I'm going to do this editorial on the 5 reasons I need 5 graphics. And he looked at me. I swear to God, I thought he was going to cry. I thought he was going to cry. He's like,
so
John, and he pulls up this list. I got to do all this before tomorrow, man. I'm like, never mind.
But the fans are really interested and they're so nice as well. I got stuck in a lift for an elevator. Sorry, I got stuck in an elevator for an hour the other day.
I was going to say, like, the pink mustache?
Yeah. Stuck in an elevator for an hour and all the fans of Movie Talk kept me company while I was on Twitter going, help, I feel sick and I'm claustrophobic.
Okay, so I guess that'll do it for us. Hey, listen, guys, we just ran out of time for the Twitter questions, but by all means, guys, Fire in Twitter questions. We will take a bunch tomorrow. Tweet to us using the hashtag AMC Movie Talk. So send in your emails as well, but also send in some tweets and we'll get a bunch of Twitter questions on the show tomorrow. That'll do it for us for right now. Don't forget, guys, lots of great films playing at AMC Theaters right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for all of your theater, showtime, and of course, your movie ticket information. If you want an audio-only version of this show, look in the description of this video and you'll find a link to our podcast feed. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, keeping up to date on AMC Heroes, AMC Jedi Council, AMC Coming Soon, AMC Rewind, AMC Mailbag, AMC Indie Spotlight, all tons of great stuff going on in the world of AMC movie news. And I want to thank the people sitting at the table with me. First of all, the no longer stuck in the lift, elevator, whatever they call it in Australia.
Periscoping.
Who's periscoping right now? I'm telling you, Miss Alicia Malone. Alicia, where can people find you online?
Find me on Periscope, apparently. You can also find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Alicia Malone. I saw Christian doing it.
He
And I was like, I'm
immediately
going to
pulled
do
out
it.
his phone, sitting to my right, Mr. Christian Herloff, who's trying to start his Twitter. There it is, his Periscope start
I'm ready.
now.
I'm doing it right now. You can find me on Periscope at Christian Harloff, Twitter, Instagram, the whole deal. And make sure AMC Jedi Council watch it every Thursday. And we're doing a brand new episode today. And yeah, I'm Periscoping right now. Woo.
And the
You're a dork.
too cool for Periscope, current murder suspect, Miss Ashley Malone. Where is Mark Ellis?
Ashley Malone.
Ashley Malone.
Did I say Ashley
We're
Malone?
related.
It
We're
is one of those. It
related.
is one of those days, man.
Ashley Ellis. You guys can find
Ashley
me
Mova. Where can people find you?
on Twitter and Instagram and soon to be Periscope. I'm going to jump on the bandwagon at Ashley Mova. Happy Thursday, guys.
And you can find me on the various social media networks, just on Facebook or on Twitter at John Campia. So for Dennis and Jonathan and Ray, thank you guys so much for watching. My name is John Campia for AMC Movie Talk, and until next time, bye-bye.